Hello, welcome to another BlenderSushi live noding. And today we're gonna take a look at the topic on how we can colorize the face polygons of geometry. I have actually probably touched this area at some point. However, I just realized I can do a lot more with this technique. And I only realized it when I was doing this procedural flipping the other day, and then I realized, hey, apparently we can play with the material indices, and that's actually kind of really powerful. Yeah, let's just jump into animation nodes. Let's go. I'll just start with a grid as usual. So the grid consists of 100 faces. Let's save this and let's call this AN mosaic advance. So this is just a grid mesh, and then we can actually use a template since we already kind of more advanced user of animation nodes, so we can use transform individual polygons. Very soon you will see what I'm going to do. Let's hide this. Okay, let's source this grid object, and then of course we're gonna create a target object. With the target object, we're gonna put it to the side, and I'm gonna unrotate that. We're not gonna be doing any rotation today, just gonna be coloring the faces of this polygon, and I will show you why this is interesting. So I'll scale it slightly down so we can see, okay, this one already has all the polygon faces separated, so we can colorize every single face of this polygon. And the way to do it is to, if you take a look at this mesh object output node, there is a material indices, and that's the one we need. And today we're gonna be using cycles, Blender cycles renderer. So it's gonna be all nodes, but interesting part is here. So with material, apparently with material, Blender cycles is respecting the indices, and I kind of like that features a lot. So let's say if we just have like a 1, 2, 3, okay, let's start with like a 4 color, just red, the usual red, yellow, green, blue. Okay, 4 different colors, and we apparently can just use the color in here. So at the moment it's coloring everything with red. If we plug in, so the material indices is expecting a list of numbers, and presumably it's an integer number, and the number is really depending on how many materials you have here. So 4 different materials, that means you can have like 4 different options, and the indices, material indices, is gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3. So supposedly we're gonna create like the list this way. We can try try with random number. So random number, let's plug in the index as usual, random number between 0 and 4. And if we check the output, see, this guy is like this. So random number will give you like a floating value, but we can kind of make the number more like integer. So we convert it from float to integer, 0, 1, 1, 1. So it's random number like that. And now if we output this guy, now we have a list that we can use for the material indices. Let's see where it is. This guy. Plug it in and then yay, so we get that really quickly, and it's almost like another cool party trick there. You can have like random face color that easy, and this works for any kind of mesh. Let's say if we have like Suzanne here, save this file, save as different version. So if we source Suzanne, let's source it here. As you can see, we can already see the result like this. Now we don't actually need the gap anymore, so I will do it like, now we have this kind of very graphic designy kind of look. And I believe we have triangulate, and then if we have triangulate, we can use the modifier there, and then so we have something that looks like that. I found that this effect is really cool, and you can actually do a lot more with this. So it's totally up to your own creativity, but say in material you can use textures as well, and let's say textures, and then you can use different color. Let's suppose we go back to our grid here, so don't overcomplicate us with a Suzanne at the moment. Grid is complicated enough. So with this guy, let's say instead of integer, we can, what if we plug in just the index? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhat we get a black, which is interesting. So index, obviously, if we look at the data, it goes from 1, 2, 3 until the last number of polygon. Looks like we only have 81 polygon, not 100. That's a correction. We can use something called modulus in math. So what's a math modulus? With modulus we can actually loop. It's called modulo here, modulo operation. Modulo, how many? We have like 4 materials, so we can modulo that. Index modulo, and the results should look like that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then if we check, so it's kind of nice, right? So, and you can also offset it, math, offset the modulo, and actually not multiply, offset. So offset gives you this kind of effect, kind of like a streaming, because the number is kind of offsetting, right? But we still have the pattern, and the pattern is important. What else we can do? If you feel like challenge, you can use the technique from the other day where we are using displacement modifier and kind of pushing the vertices, and then based on the distance changes, you can use that data to push the material index up and down. Sorry, let me think. Maybe we should try that. Let's see if it's gonna take too long to make or not. We could try with let's say 6 different color. Let's see how it goes. This is that. And that's that. This can be kind of pink color. Pink color can go up. This is red, magenta, or purple. Supposedly, and try to think what I should do here. Let's save this one just in case. If you want to create like a mosaic kind of pattern, you can, instead of using just color, you can use, of course, images. Where's images? Color, and select image texture. Let's say we have this image from the other day. Just gonna grab a random image. And this part, this boring part, can actually, you can use Python scripting to make this faster. At the moment, I'm not gonna do that. The thing with a cycles node at the moment is we cannot easily access the attributes using animation nodes, so you might be able to use Python script to do that, just a little bit faster than having to manually do this. But I will show you the tedious part anyway. You can skip this part if you don't wanna see this, me doing this 6 times. But just do it. One more. Okay, so I'll save this, and then let's have a look. We lost our ability to see the texture. Why? If you render it out, can't see it. Wonder why. This should be that. It's gonna be. That's weird. Okay, maybe we need a vector and it's gonna be generated. That's right. So you need to also give it a like a vector for the UV. And so you have something like this, and then you can of course offset the value or randomize the value, whatever you like. And okay, if you're using cycles and you're in the rendering mode, you can't see anything happening. You can turn on the playback. There's another trick, and then you can adjust now. And now it's gonna update. Depend on how fast your computer graphics, computer graphic cards. So this a little bit slow on my Mac, but at least we can see it updating. So that's another way you could play around with this idea. I actually made this kind of like a slit-scan effect. Let me type it real quick. Slit-Scan. So yes, can I zoom in? So that's, if you Google search Slit-Scan, you will see some example. Basically, you create, for every pixel of the image, you kind of slice it, and then for every frame you kind of offset the frame of the animation slightly, and you have this kind of warping, really weird effect actually. And with such technique you can, if you use like a slow motion camera, you can create interesting, really interesting results. It's hard to explain, and if I create, I tried it earlier today with a just 64, like a 60 frames image, and then it's looks quite interesting, but it takes a while to do this kind of thing manually, like assigning image one by one. So I'll just do other things. I'm not gonna do the Slit-Scan effect. Instead, I will go back to this guy, and then, okay, not this. Open recent. So this one, we have how many material? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to keep the numbering, okay? So it's gonna be, so this is gonna be white. Sketch is, let's use the HSV. I wonder if there's a quicker way to do this. We can copy paste. Yeah, Blender is cool. You see, you can copy paste color like this. Super handy. So we'll start with a like black here, and then gonna go up a little bit more. Sometimes the tedious part is also kind of nice to do every now and then. I know it's boring to watch, but anyhow. So we have that kind of value that goes up. So I divide it our material is into 6 different value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6. We need 6, not 4. 6. Okay. Like looks like a gradient, no? And we can use that value to do what cool thing, kind of like a sampling, image sampling, and then we're gonna use the displace modifier, and we're gonna resample an image. Okay, the image can be Suzanne. What's just one of this image from the other day. That will do, I guess. For now, I'll leave the grid to 80 to 81 polygon faces. Yeah. Okay, but now what we need first, in order to do the displacement thing and resampling per point, we need to get the center of each faces, because we are now dealing with faces, not points. Okay, so polygons. So where's our, this is our polygon thing. Let's get a polygon info node and plug that in. Generate a new output. It should be vector list. Okay, vector list, and get the center. And now we have this vector list output, and this is for our new target. So this is going to be the points, center points. Control clicking on that, and we can rename it. So it's going to be poly center. Okay, I rename the target object, and then the data. So if we plug in the vector into mesh data, and we get a center points like that. Let's see, so this guy is a separated face, and then that's the center points of the original. That's okay, I guess. We can hide the original mesh, and then reset the position of this guy, and now we just have this. Next thing to do is to use displace modifier, and then the direction should be the normal. Normal is okay, or we can just use the Z. So, and the texture can be Suzanne or the noise. We can use noise. Doesn't really matter, but let's just use the cloud. So the cloud is displacing our vertices, and now we're gonna use the old the techniques we learned the other day. It's we're gonna use the changing position, the differences between the original position and the displaced position. It's gonna be our kind of sample from this cloud. Okay, so we need to have, I'll just use the object mesh data node. So this is the resampling techniques, and this one should be use modifier. And let's grab our object input. It's gonna be our polycenter selected, plug this in and plug that in, and we're gonna check the vertex locations, loop through the vertex location like that. This is the vector before the displacement modifier, and another vector list, and it's gonna be after. So let's save this and then save it again, and then we can use the vector distance. Okay, I think with the clouds some points actually goes down, so there is like a negative value. Maybe the cloud goes from between -1 and 1, the value goes up and down depending on the position of the points, which is can be interesting. Look, check the data. Can't seem to see anything. That's weird. Let's debug loop. Okay, I didn't plug this in, so that's why you're not seeing any value. Shocking. So the cloud, actually it's not, the value doesn't go from 0 to 1. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, actually by doing it using vector distance, we won't get the minus value. So if we are using the vector math and just use whoops, if we subtract the before and the after, actually after subtracted before, subtract, now we can use that value. There's a minus and there's a not minus. It's really up to you. The most important is we need kind of like the grayscale value, and we're gonna use the value to affect the color of our polygon face. We can actually use the distance and then use a map range and to change the value. So this is the original value, and then we map range it, and it's gonna be between 0 and 6. How many color do we have? 6. Between 0 and 6, and then we also need to convert it from float to integer. We are only getting 0 and 1, but we can adjust the input max later on. For now, okay, we have 0 and 1 value, and then we can, here we're gonna, okay, this is our sample list. Generate integer, plug that in. So we have this new list here that we can use to colorize our polygon. That's so this guy. So this is an important thing. Let's frame it. Create frame. Join in a new frame. Okay. Just use this guy and plug it into the indices. Where's the indices? Material indices. Target. Like that. Okay, we can see it's sort of working. But the input min and max probably we need to adjust like 0.2. I guess that's a better range to get what we want. And of course with our displacement here, we can offset it using object like this empty. So I always use empty, and I can scale it up so it's a bigger cloud pattern. So it's kind of like pixel art effect, or smaller, so it's more like noise. Normally if you scale it big enough, like 5 or 10, now you can see it's more like a cloud passing. Save this again. So you can see the process. We could actually use animation nodes grid instead of using that guy, which is just a grid. We can use animation nodes grid. So grid node. It's a grid mesh. That's not a mesh yet. We can turn it into a mesh by combining mesh data. Plug this in and plug the polygon, and we actually have a mesh data, and then we can check mesh. Let's see, the output is going to be object output. Plug this into there. We don't need to see the result. I think we can plug that in. Okay, we actually need to generate something. Should be called target one. It should be called just a source mesh. Control, click. Source, grid mesh source. Okay, right. And we don't need to use modifier. Save this. Let's see if this is working now. Yeah, so that's procedural. You can see the effects working. Looks like our cloud is changing. So that's our grid mesh source. We can hide it. This is our object with 6 material. I seem to be losing the coloring. Wonder why. So we still have the poly center. Maybe something got regenerate it. That's really weird. Strength increase or lower doesn't change it. Let's check our value. Math modulo. Okay, we don't need this. Where's our coloring thing? So this guy. This interpolation, no. So we still have everything. This goes to integer. Still have our target and its polygon center. Let's see. 20 by 20. It's our target object. Yeah, it's a Blender thing. It's probably not updating properly, but if you render it out, it's actually correct. I might need to switch to GLSL. Shading, shadeless. No. Okay, maybe Blender Cycles doesn't have GLSL. Okay, that's what I was expecting. So this should update, and we can scale the cloud. And okay, cool. We have all the effects happening. Let's save this. Back to our point sampler. We could use image. Let's have a look. Even though we don't have UV, let's see from desktop. What do we have? Let's just pick Suzanne. Scale it down. So that's the result of our sampler. Like that. Let's check the original image. Slowly. Polycenters. Okay, polycenter, what's happening to you? Z. object mid-level 0.5, and the texture is okay. That's the original pictures. Maybe we don't have enough resolutions. Maybe turn it up 40 by 40. And since this is just a face, it's actually, it should be fast, but maybe I was sampling that guy. Maybe get rid of the debugging. Where is it? Okay. Okay. If I switch to 3D view, okay, I know. Here's the thing with animation node. Sometimes when it gets slow, we can just turn off this update. Okay, now it's really fast again. We're just gonna update when the property is changing. So we kind of can see our monkey there. Let's see, it's like you can see a kind of mosaic kind of effect. Low res sampling, but the effect is really cool. I like it a lot. Polycenter, we don't need to render. This should be the material, okay. And if I play this back, move. Okay, it's working. In fact, with our image that pushes the points here, the one that's resampling, we can use a movie or image sequence. Let's see, we have like 64 images. Frame, how many frames? 64. I think 64, and auto refresh cyclic. So that's the effects we got. And it's almost real time as well, so if we just switch to full frame, turn on that, so we have that. This is like 20 by 20, it's like 400 pixels image. And I want to have the timeline playback. So we have like a low-res resampling of image. And of course, the cool thing is with this sampling you can use any kind of image. Okay, maybe we only have 64 image. Back to compositing. I did specify 64 and then I did specify cyclic. It's not doing it. That's because there's offset number there, 0 offset. And we are now good. File save. Okay, this face. Let's go to material. These materials, instead of just black and white and gradient like this, you can of course use cycles node. So each one of these is a node. Where is it? So here, let's say let me try if this actually works. I'm curious. So if we use like a noise texture, sky texture, checker, brick checker, magic mask wave. Let's try wave. we can only see it. We can only see it when in rendered, but anyhow, we have like a real-time render anyway, so we can see this working. And we use ambient occlusion for now. You can look at it from the top view. Okay, here we have like the banding thing, and we can scale it. Maybe scale it to 30. That's for our one of the material, and then go to number 2 and then create another texture. Checker, magic, musgrave. Musgrave might be cool. Musgrave, okay. Scale 10. Musgrave actually probably better than just wave texture. Let's try Musgrave texture 10, 8. So that's 20. So this guy should be 20. Let's give a texture first. Musgrave. 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 Okay. So I believe we have like, you can have, if you have like 1, 50, 50 looks like that, 80, so 80, 90, so it's getting kind of deeper and deeper, the effects. So we can probably use 100 here, 80, 60, 40, 20, and 10 here. So we have very graphics kind of design, and it's still real time. Hard to see, but maybe doing it the opposite way will work. So it's a 100 here, 80, 60, 40, 20, and 10 here. So we can see how, you can see where this is going, right? This is really just resembling those images here, resembling these images into smaller pixels, and then depending on the, what do you call it, the grayscale, the darker or lighter the image, it's gonna use and sample, it's gonna replace it with the 6 materials here. You can get a really interesting design like this, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, if you're into motion graphics or like a procedural kind of effects, you can use this technique, of course. Normally people use maybe processing for this kind of thing, or maybe this also kind of touching a little bit of procedural texture creation. But yeah, you can render this out and you can animate, use your own like a movie and then turn it into something like this. Alright, hopefully you find this useful. If you like the video, please you can give a like or leave a comments or